All right, so from yesterday, besides, okay, hang on. Okay, besides being aquatic with that of the crustaceans, okay, what differences would they have with the arachnids?
They have 3 body segments.
Okay, they got 3 body segments, okay. What else might differentiate them if we watched yesterday? Okay, so you got 3 body segments as opposed to 2 with the scorpions and the spiders. Okay, what about food gathering? How might that be different? Right, because one of the things we talked about with the arachnids, the venom that they have serves 2 purposes. One is going to immobilize. Now, when we say immobilize, there's different types of venoms that might be a hemotoxin, a myotoxin, and a neurotoxin. Okay, so any one of them could cause their prey item to go into spasms. Okay, so they can't move. It might inhibit their nervous system, which certainly would inhibit them from moving. And then also, eventually, if it's a myotoxin, or excuse me, hemotoxin, eventually the blood cells will begin to rupture and the animal actually bleeds to death. So that would certainly stop them as well. But once that has happened, that venom then has another function besides immobilization. Yeah, it's going to start to liquefy its prey item. So it doesn't really need to chew its food because that's what the venom does. Because venoms are really complex proteins, and proteins are what from yesterday? Starts with an E.
Enzymes.
Yeah, proteins are enzymes. Okay, that's an important thing to wrap your head around. That's why they're so complex, because proteins are complex. So we will continue to move forward today. Won't be a whole lot of information, I don't think. And if we can get to the insects today, we'll just keep right on chugging. Okay. So this is where we left off with yesterday. Okay. Or maybe it was back here. Nope. Okay, I remember that. Okay. So then, as you had pointed out, they have to crush their food because it's not going to be liquefied for them. They got the 3 body segments. Okay. And then what might this be? Yes, it's going to catch their prey, but what else could they use that for?
Walking.
Not likely. I mean, one of the things, if you have ever noticed in a store that has, or a market that has seafood, could be, I know Hy-Vee has these aquariums, or they have lobsters in there. What would you notice about their cheilipeds?
They're like rubber banded or whatever.
That's right. Why do that? So they don't hit you. Yeah, so I don't want to reach in there and they grab your finger. I don't know if it's really going to hurt. I would just presume that it might. Not like your finger's going to be chopped off, but you're probably going to notice it. Just like being, let's say, envenomated by a spider. We had theorized that the venom's not dangerous, but a couple of holes poking into you probably is going to not feel good, kind of like a couple needles poking you. Excuse me. Oh, just had to get that out of me. Okay. So since these are not terrestrial, as you can see, they're aquatic, so they have to breathe with gills. And then how does that oxygen get into their bloodstream? Don't say the gills. Okay, just think about that for a moment. Okay, so how does that oxygen get into the bloodstream for these animals? And it's actually up here. It just doesn't tell you directly. You could say the same thing for us, for instance. We don't have gills, but with our lungs, how does oxygen get into our bloodstream?
Breathing.
Well, breathing can be underwater too with gills, so no. Like I said, that the word is actually up here somewhere. It's just in the opposite direction.
Movement of appendix.
No. Probably the first thing that we talked about in your sophomore biology class when you were yeah, but that doesn't explain how it gets into the bloodstream. That means it's actually leaving if it's excretory. You can say the same thing for sponges. How do they receive oxygen? Well, someone said it. They just
Water flow.
true, but water, just because water flows through there doesn't mean it's going to be able to grab that. So how do these animals get rid of waste? True. So diffusion then, okay? Like we said, the word is up here, but it's just in the opposite direction. This means waste products are leaving. But for oxygen to get in, it has to diffuse into the bloodstream, okay? Now, when we say excretory glands and antennae gland, that's not so much, the antenna is not for digestive purposes, probably more so for carbon dioxide leaving, okay? Where your excretory glands are going to be, again, your probably part of your intestines. Now, again, these animals are becoming a little more advanced, but not as much as when we get to that of the vertebrates, which will not be till next semester. Okay. So if we did not go any further, what does this mean to you? An open circulatory system.
There's no pressure.
Exactly, because what don't they have? Yeah, so blood will flow into sinuses rather than flowing through a capillary where it would be pressurized. But that would be a closed circulatory system. So here again, we're not talking about animals that have a pressurized type. It's still open. Now, you might think, well, circulates blood better. For animals that are not very big, once you start becoming a bigger type animal, which / human as opposed to a lobster, well then what's going to happen is then closed would be more efficient for a larger body rather than open. Otherwise, nature would have selected larger animals like primates and some of the reptiles that can get to be quite large. Well, then they would have open circulation then too, but that's not the case. So this is efficient for animals that are small, not large. And that's what we mean by it circulates better in open sinuses rather than capillaries. So what do you think? These types of arthropods, sight, pretty good or not so good? You got a 50-50 chance. I believe it's actually pretty good. Maybe it says here a little later, because I do believe they have lots and lots of, you could say, cones that actually pick up different types of colors. Okay. So, therefore, the reason I say they're pretty complex is, can we see polarized light?
No.
No, we cannot. Because that's where one of the things, it can, not that it can blind you, but some of your, I would believe, your more expensive types of sunglasses will filter out polarized light. And those are probably your, maybe besides Oakley's. I can't think of anything that's expensive for sunglasses other than, maybe the brand that I have. Is it Champion, maybe? Have to look. Yeah, it's got a little C on there with so I'm guessing these are Champion sunglasses. So therefore you'd have to look close. So some of the brands that you're talking about, they probably have that stamped into just underneath the frames like this does. And it says what, HC polarized?
Yep.
I think.
So.
And I don't know if that's what all sunglasses that are, because these are, I would believe, to be pretty expensive because they came from the eye doctor. And they said, well, what do you want for a deal? Do you want something like this, or would you like the sunglasses included in there at no cost? I mean, so you had your choice. Yeah, I'll take the sunglasses. Okay. So their eyesight is actually pretty fairly advanced because they can analyze polarized light. We cannot, but in certain cases it can get filtered out in certain sunglasses. Okay, insects. Now, this is probably always changing, and I don't know how you can actually keep track of this, how many different types of species of insects there are. I think that gets to be a point where you would have to have some sort of camera, probably a smartphone now, that when you take that picture, it goes into a database, and then with that database say, okay, yes, this species does exist, or no, this is a new one, which I think would probably be exceedingly rare, especially here in the US. You'd have to go into, of course, the jungles, I would think of, whether it's South America or Africa, in order to actually find more of these different types of insect species. So then when we see, so how many total legs is this? Yeah, I know, but how many is that though? That'd be 6. Maybe I didn't phrase the question right. So that'd be 6 walking legs. Now, are there other arthropods that have 6 walking legs? No. You're laughing when you said that. So, ticks, yes. One more. They're also arachnids, but they're not. But they're not. But they're not spiders. Yes, scorpions. Scorpions also have 8 appendages, but they also have 3 pairs of walking legs. So where are their extra 2 appendages at then for scorpions? Yeah, they're chelipeds or pinchers or whatever you want to call them. Okay. So I want to see where this puts us. Maybe did this one. Yeah. We get to the end here. That's where we'll stop for today. So then moving forward, we will continue with the insects tomorrow. And then on Thursday, you have your vocabulary evaluation over this chapter. And then Friday, as you can see, will be our activity. And then next week, we will wind this chapter up and start reviewing for an exam over this chapter, probably on the 12th, which is Thursday. And then Friday, oddly enough, the 13th, we would start reviewing that day. The following Monday, the 16th, the 17th, and then Wednesday, see, on the 18th, if we need that time, then that Thursday, the 19th, is your last day in here for the semester. Okay, so it's no surprise that you can find these animals all over the world because they can fly, but not all insects can fly. You actually know the answer to this.
Spiders.
And you said it over there, I think.
Grasshoppers.
They can fly, they have wings.
They can float.
Dolphins.
Didn't you say ants?
Dolphins.
Yeah. So different types of ants. Sometimes you could just refer to them as wingless hornets, maybe, or something to that extent.
Can ticks fly?
No, I don't believe so. Not to my knowledge. Okay, so you can utilize this time to work on your papers. That's all I have. We'll catch up to you next time.